Many of humanity's most significant turning points have bore witness to unexplainable events. Is this merely coincidence, or could it be evidence that the course of human history is being manipulated by an alien agenda? Ancient astronaut theorists have long proposed that extraterrestrials played a pivotal role in our past, and some believe they continue to keep a careful watch over the progress of mankind. Even high-level government officials have made claims that extraterrestrials are visiting our planet with an interest in our technological advancements. Have extraterrestrials been monitoring human progress for thousands of years, at times helping us to advance, and at other times holding us back? In 2010, Professor Stephen Hawking noted meeting an advanced civilization could be like Native Americans encountering Columbus. That didn't turn out so well. He more recently said that planet Gliese 832c could have alien life forms, but humans should be wary of contact. One day we might receive a signal from a planet like this, but we should be wary of answering back, he said in the documentary. He claimed alien life could be rapacious marauders roaming the cosmos in search of resources to plunder and planets to conquer and colonize. His verdict: aliens are real, and alien invasion is bad for us. In a 2016 TV interview, Jim Marrs, author of Alien Agenda, talked about why aliens might want the Earth. His perspective being similar to Stephen Hawking's claim, as well as the scenario that L. Ron Hubbard presented in his novel Battlefield Earth, where an alien race wipes out 99% of humanity in order to make way for their own enterprise. Jim goes on to trace what appeared to be alien encounters dating back to Ezekiel in the Old Testament. He then comes forward to the present with examples from all over the world and a resulting sense of relief that if they have been here all along, perhaps they won't come to invade and enslave us. His verdict: aliens are real. An alien invasion could be good, could be bad. Either way, we need to prepare for it. Neil deGrasse Tyson, when asked by Larry King if there was life elsewhere, responded, "You run the numbers and you realize that it would be unbelievably egocentric to suggest that we are alone. Anyone who has actually studied the problem would say, sure, that statistics strongly argue in favor of life. Maybe there's life that is so intelligent it doesn't consider us to be intelligent. We came up with our own definition of what intelligence is. Imagine they are so brilliant they look at us like Neanderthals. They wouldn't even waste their time." His verdict: aliens exist. An alien invasion would be a waste of time for the aliens, and that's good for us. Recently, Elon Musk commented that aliens probably already knew about SpaceX. He has stated multiple times that we are probably not alone in the universe, and if there are alien life forms out there to be encountered during future space travel, the human race will not be the smartest life. Speaking at the World Government Summit, Elon said, "They're probably already observing us. That would seem quite likely, and we're just not smart enough to realize it." The theory, which falls under the zoo hypothesis, which claims that aliens are watching us, is an attempt at explaining the Fermi paradox. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi, the creator of the world's first nuclear reactor, came up with a paradox which says due to the age and size of the universe, there is bound to be a civilization much more advanced than ours. While it can hardly be called the last laugh, it is interesting what Elon did with his cherry Tesla Roadster. Should aliens find the payload, they will find an in-car sound system playing David Bowie's Space Oddity on loop. In the dashboard, a sign is labeled "Don't panic" as a cheeky reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. On the car's circuit board is a little message that says, "Made on Earth by humans." His verdict: aliens are real. An alien invasion is possible. Whether good or bad, don't panic. UFO author David Jacobs has a high profile in the field of ufology. He has lectured widely, been interviewed, and participated in numerous television and radio shows on the subject of alien abductions. David Jacobs has written 5 books on the topic of UFOs and alleged alien abductions. In recent years, Jacobs has argued publicly that the evidence from his research, which sometimes includes utilizing hypnotic regression with alleged alien abductees along with traditional interview techniques, purports that alien-human hybrids are engaged in a covert program of infiltration into human society, with possibly the final goal of taking over Earth. He asserts that some of his research subjects are teaching these hybrids how to blend into human society so they cannot be differentiated from humans, and that this is occurring worldwide. His verdict: aliens are real. The invasion has already begun. It is bad, very bad, and it's time to panic. What does it all mean? Well, we can only speculate why the aliens are here. We know they are here. Most people polled agree there is an alien presence on Earth, but no one knows their agenda. If aliens think like us, and we can only assume that they think in a way similar to us, if they are intelligent, then why would they come to our little planet off the beaten path where life is probably more abundant? The answer may be simple. They want something. But what do they want? It is doubtful that an intelligent race would expend resources and time just to drop by and say hi. Sure, that's possible. But consider this. Suppose you are in New York and you decide to drive across country to California. It's a great distance, and you probably have some desire to see or get something you can only get in California. Most people would not wake up one morning and just decide to drive thousands of miles for nothing. You have to have some desire, some need to go that distance. So our question is, what is their desire? What is their motivation to go hundreds, even thousands of light years to get here? We can think of a few benign reasons they may come here, but if we think about it, there are several malevolent reasons to make such a journey. Let's consider for a moment the age-old question skeptics often raise to dismiss the UFO question. Why don't they just land on the White House lawn? Let's consider this for a moment. If they are intelligent, and there is no reason to believe they're not, then this would probably be the stupidest thing they could do. Suppose a flying saucer did land on the White House lawn. I guarantee you our military would go to DEFCON 1 within moments. It would put our entire nation on alert and probably cause mass panic. But that's just here in America. Consider the reaction of foreign nations like China, Russia, or Iran. The moment the news reported that an advanced flying saucer has landed in America and on the capital of our nation where the president lives, all other nations would go on alert as well. The question in the minds of leaders of these nations, they would be asking, what are they giving the Americans that they're not giving us? What advanced technology will America receive from this visit? And will they use it against us? Why did they choose to land on the White House lawn and not downtown Moscow, Tehran, or Tiananmen Square? If aliens did land openly in America, it would put the entire planet on alert and cause fear to spread. Now, let's reverse this. What if they did land in Tiananmen Square or Moscow? How would we react? It's a sure bet we would react the same way, with fear. Fear that they chose a communist country to land. Fear that they chose a Muslim country to make themselves known. And fear that they may give the Iranians or Russians or Chinese some advanced technology that could be used against us. No American politician or military official would believe the Russians, Chinese, or Iranians if they told us all the aliens wanted to do was drop by and say hello. If the aliens are intelligent, and they would have to be in order to have the technology to get here, they would know this. It's common logic. So, how would an advanced alien race explore Earth and not cause panic? They would have to do it covertly. And this is exactly how it appears they are. It makes far more sense to land in some out-of-the-way place, like a ranch in Texas, and maybe take a farmer, a forest in Arizona and take a lumberjack, or a coastal town in Mississippi and take a fisherman. No one would notice this, and it would only become national news if they reported what happened to them after the fact. No worldwide panic, no real issues for the aliens or the people of Earth. Just a mysterious story that can neither be confirmed nor denied. But let's suppose for a moment that the aliens do come and offer us advanced technology and medicines to help cure us. That would be great, right? Suppose they gave us just enough technology to help sustain us and bring up our quality of life. But what if there's a price for this technology? They would likely know that any technology they give us would be weaponized and used here on Earth. They may be okay with that. In fact, they may be counting on it. Any observation of Earth would reveal that as a species, we like to go to war. We invent reasons for it. We are a warrior species. Perhaps the aliens expect us to take their technology and use it for war. There may be a certain obligation towards them that we owe them for all the advancements. Perhaps they will expect us to go fight their wars so they don't have to get their hands dirty. Once aliens are here openly, then our agendas become their agendas, and their agendas become ours too. What may seem like a wonderful first contact experience could plunge us into never-ending wars off-world that we will feel obligated to help with. Perhaps this is why they appear to be studying our DNA and learning covertly all about us, so that we may be groomed into a force they can use. Perhaps they may be taking a few humans now, breeding them for their own purposes, and using them as soldiers in some distant war we are completely unaware of. Their hybrid program may have nothing to do with us, and everything to do with their own agenda. The hybrids and humans they have would grow up seeing them as their kin, and be willing to do whatever they ask of them. They may also simply be slaves, and have no way of warning Earth or returning home. And all the while, Earth is completely oblivious of what is going on, and continuing to look forward to some day when we will finally meet them. Let's face it, many people of Earth have put aliens on a high pedestal. We're pushing for full disclosure from our governments and wanting the aliens to land openly. We are in awe of them and looking forward to the day we know all about them. But ask yourself, would this be a good thing? Maybe not. It may very well be best to remain in our ignorance. People like to think of aliens in concert with the movie E.T. or Close Encounters. They are benevolent beings who come a long distance because we are so special they want to meet and interact with us. That could be the case, and we should not dismiss it. However, we also need to take time to look at what their agenda may be and determine if we want any part of it. Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest minds of our century, recently said that if aliens did arrive on Earth, it could be synonymous with the arrival of the Pilgrims to the New World. That did not work out so well for the Native Americans. An arrival of aliens to our world may not be the best thing for us either. Science fiction movies and television shows have explored this outcome in many ways, and of course, those are outlets for drama and the plot for those programs. They usually have dire consequences for humans with a shining thread of hope, so the show will not be so dire no one will watch it. The truth is, if we were up against an advanced culture who are able to come here, then the hope of us fighting them off would be slim. They would control the high ground, and we would be little more than ants in their path. We would not have a chance to be heroes, as they could exterminate us from orbit and never set foot on the planet where we could fight them. All of these scenarios have been explored by modern man, yet we still covet the idea that they will come in peace. Perhaps this too is part of their agenda. Perhaps they are conditioning us through our government and those who control the media to have them accepted when they do come, so it would be easier to put whatever their agenda is into place. Currently, there are numerous religions on Earth that either acknowledge aliens or outright worship them. Scientology, formed by L. Ron Hubbard, a science fiction author, openly observes aliens in its own origin stories. The alleged Space Brothers religions have aliens at their core beliefs, and many think they are coming to save mankind. Many Muslims believe that Muhammad discussed aliens in the Quran. Even the Bible seems to allude to there being other beings in the heavens, though most are considered to be demons, if not clearly angels of God. Ancient aliens theorists believe that aliens themselves are responsible for most of the monuments and unexplained writings, drawings, sculptures, and artifacts in our early history. They believe that aliens brought us to this planet and have been cultivating us all along. Like some crop planted long ago, we are theirs to harvest from. All the legends and myths of gods who came from the stars are the aliens. They brought us civilization, taught us to build and grow as human culture, and one day they will return to check out their efforts. In that sense, we too are aliens to this planet. Modern UFO sightings are seen as them watching over their creation, and the day will come that they will land to take control of all we have accomplished. All of this plants the seeds that we belong to them. They are the master race, and we are the underlings. Perhaps we are. For decades, the UFO community have been aware of alien abductions. Many have come forward with tales of alien-human hybrids, their own offspring brought to them to love and care for. Strange children that they are told are their babies, but these babies seem to have little to no concept of what it is to be human. They lack simple emotions and do not appear to truly understand themselves or how to deal with emotional context. David Michael Jacob is an American historian and recently retired associate professor of history at Temple University, specializing in 20th century American history. Jacobs is particularly well known in the field of ufology for his research and authoring of books on the subject of alien abductions. What does he have to say about these alien intruders? Abductions are a complex series of events and procedures directed by the abductors to passive or controlled abductees. In a typical or common abduction, humans are taken out of their normal environment by aliens. The people are rendered passive and cannot resist. They're taken aboard a UFO. Their clothes are removed and they are made to lie on a table. A series of physical, mental, and reproductive procedures are then administered to the subjects. People's physical bodies are probed and examined. Sperm is taken. Eggs are harvested. The aliens perform staring procedures during which they gaze into the abductee's eyes at a distance of only an inch or two. These mind scan procedures appear to be neurological manipulations which give the aliens the ability to enter into people's minds. After the table procedures, abductees report that they are sometimes taken into other rooms where they're required to have skin-on-skin contact with unusual-looking babies. Abductees say that these babies seem to be crosses between humans and aliens. They call them hybrids. Abductees also see hybrid toddlers, older youth, adolescents, and adults. Sometimes abductee reports that they are required to perform tasks, that they're tested in some way. They say that machines are brought in to examine them. They sometimes are required to have a form of sexual intercourse with other humans and sometimes with adolescent and adult hybrids. They are returned to their normal environment, and within seconds, they forget what has just happened to them. Frequently, women are brought into a room filled with babies in special holders. They're required to have skin-on-skin contact with the baby, and if a particular procedure has been performed during the examination phase, they're told to nurse the baby. Abductees describe the babies as looking like a cross between a human and an alien. They say that these are hybrids. The babies are weak and do not have the reactions of normal human babies. Often, abductees think that the babies are sick. The evidence seems to suggest, however, that this is their normal state. Men and children often have skin-on-skin contact with the babies as well. Humans are taken into a special room where they encounter hybrid children, ages 2 to 10. As the hybrid children grow, their contact with humans becomes more complex. As toddlers, they exchange and play behavior, often helped by the abductees who is required to teach them games to play. They're sometimes seen playing with their specific toys. Human children are required to play with the hybrids as equals and also teach them games. Abductees report that some hybrids have had ongoing complex contact with them since they were children. They see the same hybrid many times over the years. The hybrids age at the same pace as the abductees. Their relationship is usually reproductively oriented. Sometimes abductees have very positive feelings toward their personal project hybrid. Others have extremely negative feelings about what they consider hybrid abusiveness. Some personal project hybrids are exclusively interested in human life and relations. None of them are interested in human political or institutional aspects of the society. Aliens sometimes place images in abductees' minds which they can view as if they were happening in reality. These visions are often of cataclysmic events, war, atomic explosions, meteorite destruction, earthquakes, and so on. At other times, they may see routine scenes of middle-class life, picnics, walking in a park, or so on. Although the reason for the content is not fully understood, recent evidence has suggested that the viewing of these scenes has an important neurological function in which the abductee will be asked to perform some activity in the future. There are many other procedures that abductees report. Most appear to be in the service of the aliens' specific goals for their program. Some of the procedures that abductees report include being trained to rescue both humans and aliens. They report being trained in crowd control and pacification. They report learning how to work alongside hybrids doing abduction procedures. They're told that they will know what to do when the time comes. When one delves deep into the alien abduction phenomenon, the results are chilling. Whatever is happening, the signs within the abduction point to disturbing behaviors on the part of the aliens. What does this mean? Why are these people being selected and conditioned? One obvious takeaway from all of this is that they must have a plan, some agenda that they hope to accomplish, and we are part of that agenda. As Dr. Jacobs said, the abductee will be asked to perform some function in the future. What is that function? How will we be used in some future event involving them? John Mack, a renowned Harvard professor, has this to say about abductions. These individuals reported being taken against their wills, sometimes through the walls of their houses, and subjected to elaborate intrusive procedures which appeared to have a reproductive purpose. In a few cases, they were actually observed by independent witnesses to be physically absent during the time of the abduction. These people suffered from no obvious psychiatric disorder, except the effects of traumatic experience, and were reported with powerful emotion that to them were utterly real experiences. Furthermore, these experiences were sometimes associated with UFO sightings by friends and family members or others in the community, including the media, reporters, and journalists, and frequently left physical traces on the individuals' bodies, such as cuts and small ulcers that would tend to heal rapidly and followed no apparent psychodynamically identifiable pattern, as do, for example, religious stigmata. In short, I was dealing with a phenomenon that I felt could not be explained psychiatrically, yet was simply not possible within the framework of the Western scientific worldview. Scientists have tried to come up with plausible explanations for alien abductions, most notably sleep paralysis, a feeling of being conscious but unable to move, which occurs when a person passes between stages of wakefulness and sleep. Temporal lobe sensitivity is a theory that suggests the temporal lobes of some people's brains are more vulnerable to influence from low-level magnetic frequencies, which can cause hallucinations. One explanation is that when people believe they have had an experience of alien abduction, they have misinterpreted, distorted, and confabulated real and imagined events. Hence, skeptics of alien encounters explain them away in terms of psychological processes and personality characteristics. None of this is to say that many people who believe they have experienced alien abductions are liars, merely that their accounts and experiences can be explained through recourse to theories with a scientific basis. There are many logical, plausible scientific explanations, none of which rely upon the existence of aliens. However, it should also be noted that not all reported alien abduction experiences can be easily explained by any of these scientific theories, and this throws up even more questions. No matter how you examine the alien abduction phenomenon, the underlying question remains: what do they want? What is their agenda? If alien abductees are to be believed, and there's no reason not to believe them, then who are the aliens who are visiting us? Perhaps by examining their species, we can determine more about their character. The most common aliens you hear about are the Greys. Gray aliens are referred to as Zeta Reticulans, Roswell Greys, or just Greys. They're extraterrestrial beings whose existence is discussed in ufological, paranormal, and New Age communities, and who are named for their unique skin color. "43% of all reported alien encounters in the United States describe gray aliens. Such claims vary in every respect, including the nature, origins, moral dispositions, intentions, and physical appearances of the encountered beings, though many of them nonetheless share some noticeable similarities. A composite description derived from this overlap would have grays as small-bodied beings with smooth gray-colored skin, enlarged hairless heads, and large black eyes. Some conspiracy theorists believe that grays represent part of a government-led disinformation or plausible deniability campaign, or that they are a product of government mind control experiments. Dr. Stephen Greer, founder of the Disclosure Project and head of CSETI, claims to have over 400 government, military, and intelligence community witnesses that have offered testimony to the existence of aliens and UFOs, or efforts to cover up their existence, and who have stated they would be willing to defend their claims under oath. Nordic aliens are humanoid extraterrestrials purported to come from the Pleiades, who resemble Nordic Scandinavians. Professed contactees describe them as typically male, 6 to 7 feet tall, with long blonde hair, blue eyes, and skin tones ranging from fair to tanned. Ufologist George Adamski is credited with being among the first to claim contact with Nordic aliens in the mid-1950s, and scholars note that the mythology of extraterrestrial visitation from beings with features described as Aryan often include claims of telepathy, benevolence, and physical beauty. In most cases, these aliens are described as gentle and kind. In ufology, insectoid aliens are extraterrestrial beings which have a similar body with Earth insects or arachnids. These beings are involved in alien encounters and alien abduction scenarios, but their presence is not as widely reported as Nordic aliens and gray aliens. Before 1990, UFO literature reported insectoid aliens only in the cases concerning the Mothman. In 1992, alien abduction researcher Brian Thompson claimed that a nurse acquaintance of his reported that during 1957 in Cincinnati, she encountered a 3-foot-tall praying mantis-like entity for 2 days after a Y-shaped UFO sighting. This mantis-like creature is reminiscent of the insectoid-type entities reported in some abduction accounts. He related this report to fellow researcher Leonard Stringfield. Stringfield told him of 2 cases he had in his files where separate witnesses reported identical circumstances in the same place and year. Abduction researcher Carla Turner, in the book Into the Fringe, reported that a man called David remembered an encounter with a giant mantis during a hypnosis session. Linda Moulton Howe, in her book Glimpses of the Other Realities, describes some claims of alien mantis. The book includes the case of Linda Porter and David Huggins. Afterwards, some fringe ufologists involved insectoid aliens in UFO conspiracy theories. The insectoids are the overseers of the Greys and often appear in the capacity of doctors or operations specialists. Reptilian humanoids, or simply reptilians, are reported humanoids with the characteristics of reptiles that play a prominent role in ufology and conspiracy theories. The idea of reptilians was popularized by David Icke, a conspiracy theorist who claims shape-shifting reptilian aliens control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate human societies. Icke has stated on multiple occasions that many world leaders are or are possessed by so-called reptilians. Alien abduction narratives sometimes allege contact with reptilian creatures. One of the earliest reports was that of Ashland, Nebraska police officer Herbert Schreimer, born in 1945, who under hypnosis recalled being taken aboard a UFO in 1967 by humanoid beings with a slightly reptilian appearance, who wore a winged serpent emblem on the left side of their chests. According to British conspiracy theorist David Icke, tall, blood-drinking, shape-shifting reptilian humanoids from the Alpha Draconis star system, now hiding at underground bases, are the force behind a worldwide conspiracy against humanity. He contends that most of the world's ancient and modern leaders are related to these reptilians, including the Rothschilds, the Bush family, and the British royal family. Icke's conspiracy theories now have supporters in up to 47 countries, and he has given lectures to crowds of up to 6,000. On March 4, 2013, a video depicting a security agent with unusual features guarding a speech by U.S. President Barack Obama was spotlighted in a Wired report about shape-shifting reptilian humanoids, leading to a tongue-in-cheek response from Chief National Security Council spokeswoman Caitlin Hayden, that any alleged program to guard the president with aliens or robots would likely have to be scaled back or eliminated in the sequester. There are other races we should mention, such as the Star People and the Space Brothers, but these are mostly seen in New Age religions and appear to have little to do with the alien abduction case. The United States government, on many occasions, even recently, have denied any involvement in the UFO or abduction phenomenon since their famous Project Blue Book ended in the late 60s. They were very adamant about it. In 1952, a CIA group called the Psychological Strategy Board concluded that when it came to UFOs, the American public was dangerously gullible and prone to hysterical mass behavior. The group recommended debunking campaigns to tamper the public's interest in unexplained phenomenon. But the government seems to have been interested too. In December of 2017, the Pentagon confirmed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. It was created in 2007 by Senators Ted Stevens, who reportedly had been chased by a mysterious object, Daniel Inouye, and then Majority Leader Harry Reid, and funded with $22 million of black money from the Department of Defense's budget. The program investigated and evaluated reports of UFO sightings, many of which came from American service members. So much of what the program uncovered remains classified, but what little we know is tantalizing. Based on data it collected, the program identified 5 observations that showed mysterious objects displaying some level of advanced physics, also known as stuff humans can't do. The objects would accelerate with g-forces too strong for the human body to withstand, or reach hypersonic speed with no heat trail or sonic boom. Or they seem to resist the effects of Earth's gravity without any aerodynamic structures to provide thrust or lift. No one has been able to figure out what these are, said Luis Elizondo, who ran the program until last October 2017. Elizondo has also talked about metamaterials that may have been recovered from unidentified aerial phenomenon and stored in buildings owned by a private aerospace contractor in Las Vegas. They apparently have material compositions that aren't found naturally on Earth and would be exceptionally expensive to replicate. According to a 2009 Pentagon briefing summarized in the New York Times, the United States was incapable of defending itself against some of the technologies discovered. This was a briefing by people trying to get more funding, but still. Some of the accounts Elizondo and his team analyzed supposedly occurred near nuclear facilities like power plants or battleships. In November 2004, the USS Princeton, a Navy cruiser escorting the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz off the coast of San Diego, ordered 2 fighter jets to investigate mysterious aircraft the Navy had been tracking for weeks, meaning this was not just a trick of the eye or a momentary failure of perspective, the 2 things most often blamed for unexplained aerial phenomena. When the jets arrived at the location, one of the pilots, Commander David Fravor, saw a disturbance just below the ocean's surface, causing the water to roil around it. Then suddenly he saw a white 40-foot tic-tac shaped craft moving like a ping-pong ball above the water. The vehicle began mirroring his plane's movements, but when Fravor dove directly at the object, the tic-tac zipped away. The Pentagon has said funding for this program ran out in 2012 and wasn't renewed, but Elizondo has claimed the project was alive and well when he resigned in October in 2017. Just 30 years ago, we had not discovered a single planet outside our solar system. Now we know of more than 3,000 of them, and we know nearly every star in the night sky has at least one planet in its orbit. Even people who are not terribly interested in science know that we've found that planets are as common as fire hydrants. They're everywhere, says Seth Shostak, the senior astronomer at SETI Institute. 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 might be a planet similar to the Earth. This does not mean we will ever find an exact replica of Earth, but maybe we don't have to. Our study of other planets and moons in the solar system shows us many worlds possess the ingredients necessary for life: an atmosphere, organic compounds, liquid water, and other necessities. New technology gives us a better chance to actually make contact with extraterrestrials. Our radio telescopes can scan more of the night sky for an intelligent message than ever before. Our optical telescopes and observatories can peer further into space and look for new planets, moons, and perhaps even signs of something altogether artificial. Our ability to parse volumes of data in mere seconds means we can conceivably survey much of the galaxy in just a few decades. That's why in the past few years, Shostak has continually bet a cup of coffee with anyone he knows that humans will find aliens by around 2029. We'd have to be dead above the neck if we weren't interested in this, says Penelope Boston, the director of the NASA Astrobiology Institute. Consider this. We may have just seen an actual flying saucer. When Oumuamua, the name means first messenger in Hawaiian, was discovered floating through the solar system in October of 2017, SETI immediately started checking the boxes that suggest the rod-shaped object might be an alien spacecraft of some kind. After all, it's the first interstellar object we've ever seen pass through our solar system. Both the SETI Institute and the Breakthrough Listen Initiative pointed their instruments towards the object, but found no unusual signals emitted from it. Of course, maybe it's an ancient relic from an interstellar civilization, or maybe the aliens just weren't interested in making contact. With the object on its way out of the solar system, we may never know. Fast radio bursts are one of the most mysterious phenomena ever observed by scientists. Though they only last a few milliseconds, these pulses, first detected in 2007, emit more energy in that time than the sun does in 24 hours. 3 more were found recently, and we're no closer to understanding their origin, except that they're coming from outside the Milky Way. So naturally, many experts have begun to think perhaps they're produced by an ultra-advanced civilization from afar, trying to speak to us through signals we can barely comprehend. Know that there are people who watch our skies to protect the sleeping masses. Britain's former chief UFO investigator, Nick Pope, warns in his memoir, but also know that not all potential intruders into our airspace have 2 wings, a fuselage, and a tail, and not all show up on radar. Pope's anonymous counsel follows time he spent in the 90s inspecting thousands of paranormal incidents, from crop circles to purported bedside abductions. He took that job certain this kind of stuff only happened to weirdos. But unexplainable sightings soon convinced him that there is a war going on with aliens. Worse, the UK Defence Ministry cut his old UFO desk's funding in 2009, so whatever's out there could attack at any time, Pope believes. After scientists suggested Oumuamua, a bizarre-shaped asteroid that's the first interstellar object to pass through our solar system, might be an alien spacecraft, he argued in December of 2017 we probably wouldn't survive an alien invasion anyway, because if they find us, it's clear who has the upper hand. Philip Corso's military career was long and illustrious, from rebuilding Rome's government after World War II as an Army intelligence captain to having worked the Pentagon's foreign technology desk in the 1960s. He doesn't appear to have said a word publicly about aliens until 1997, when Simon & Schuster published The Day After Roswell, with a foreword by Strom Thurmond, just 13 months before Corso died. It was a tell-all outlining a decades-long Roswell cover-up, while plugging his own clandestine exploits, which he claimed involved reverse engineering technology found on alien spacecraft. This is how the world got lasers, particle beams, microchips, even Kevlar. Skeptics argue that regular Earth people and R&D behind technology like lasers is impossibly well documented. But why would such a decorated military intelligence officer lie? We could continue to list military, government, and politicians that have tried to get information out, many who have had their own encounters, but the point would be moot. The list is long and distinguished. The truth is that you probably believe in UFOs and aliens, and the fact is many of your representatives and leaders in Washington do as well. So, with all the evidence, if we can all agree that UFOs are real, that alien abductions do indeed take place, then what's the next step? Why are we spending time proving the same points over and over again? A new survey conducted by the Halloween Retail Company asked 1,000 participants across the United States how they felt about all sorts of cryptids from Bigfoot to the boogeyman. And when it came to aliens, 62% of Americans believed they are real. Aliens were the most believed in entities, beating out 13 other legendary creatures for the top spot. Nearly half of Americans believe in aliens, and almost as many believe aliens are visiting Earth, according to another new survey. 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment commissioned the survey as part of their promotional campaign for the Blu-ray release of the movie Phoenix Forgotten. More than 1,700 Americans were surveyed. Other surveys have also found that around half the population believes in aliens. But perhaps a more interesting finding in this survey was that slightly less than 39% of those surveyed believe aliens have visited Earth before. The survey went on to ask whether people felt the Phoenix Lights incident could have been caused by aliens. A whopping 67% said yes. Recently, Kurt Russell claimed to have witnessed the Phoenix Lights from his personal aircraft he was piloting. He and his son, who also was on board, obviously lived to tell the story. So at least the aliens flying over Phoenix in 1997 were probably benevolent. When asked what they thought it would be like to be abducted, 73.5% said they believed it would be terrifying. Only 27.97% thought it would be enlightening. And 40% of those surveyed said they think aliens abduct humans because they're interested in human anatomy. If the government is trying to keep this secret, they're doing a poor job of it. All the basic things to know are already, for the most part, common knowledge. Nearly half of Earthlings believe that we aren't alone in the universe and want to make contact with alien life, according to yet a new study in 2018. The finding of this study, conducted in 24 countries by research group Globalities, showed that 47% of the survey's 26,000 respondents believe in the existence of intelligent alien civilizations in the universe. And 61% responded yes when asked if they believe in some form of life on other planets. Among those who believe humans aren't alone in the universe, 60% said we should try to communicate with extraterrestrial beings. Only a quarter of survey takers said they don't think intelligent life exists beyond Earth. One interesting note in all of these surveys is this: respondents were rarely asked what the aliens want. Yes, 47% of those surveyed said they think aliens abduct humans because they're interested in our human anatomy. But being interested and revealing a true agenda is not the same thing. You could be interested in feline anatomy, but that doesn't mean you would travel hundreds of thousands of miles just to see a house cat. It would have to be one very unique house cat. The surveys also revealed something else, and that something is very unique. 50 years ago, those numbers would have been much smaller. So the question remains, are we being conditioned to be accepting of aliens in our world? Is the fear factor lessening? Are we ready to meet aliens one-on-one? Could this be part of the whole of their agenda? There are two ways to take over a population. One is the direct approach: invade, conquer, and fight them until they submit or their numbers are small enough to control. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a city, a state, a country, or an entire planet. It's a quicker approach, but may not be very effective because in any war, in any battle, there will always be resistance. You will never control the hearts and minds of everyone, and you will fight that resistance for decades, perhaps even centuries later. The other approach is through infiltration. It's a much slower approach, but it is more effective, and you're left with a calm and subdued population ready to be led by you. No matter what their makeup is, no matter where they're from, the environment they developed in, nor government or religious beliefs they have, any intelligent species would know this. It's basic logic, basic strategy, indeed, a basic agenda. We knew this early on when mankind began to go to war. There's no reason to believe that they do not know this. In fact, as any species advanced, the ability to carry out this simple but effective agenda would also become more sophisticated. Add in advanced technology, and you probably could not be stopped. So let's go back and review a typical alien abduction. First, the capture. The abductee is somehow rendered incapable of resisting and taken from terrestrial surroundings to an apparent alien spacecraft. The examination and procedures. Invasive psychological and physiological procedures, and on occasion, simulated behavioral situations, training and testing, or sexual liaisons. The conference. The abductors communicate with the abductee or direct them to interact with specific individuals for some purpose, typically telepathically, but sometimes using the abductee's native language. The tour. The abductees are given a tour of their captor's vessel, though this is disputed by some researchers who consider this definition a confabulation of intent, when just apparently they're being taken around to multiple places inside the ship. The loss of time. Abductees often rapidly forget the majority of their experience, either as a result of fear, medical intervention, or both. The return. The abductees are returned to Earth, occasionally in a different location from where they were allegedly taken, or with new injuries or disheveled clothing. Theophany. Coinciding with their immediate return, abductees may have a profound sense of love, a high similar to those induced by certain drugs, or a mystical experience accompanied by a feeling of oneness with God, the universe, or their abductors. Whether this is the result of a metaphysical change, Stockholm Syndrome, or prior medical tampering is often not scrutinized by the abductees at the time. The aftermath. The abductee must cope with the psychological, physical, and social effects of the experience, assuming they remember it at all. When describing the abduction scenario, David M. Jacobs says, "The entire abduction event is precisely orchestrated. All the procedures are predetermined. There is no standing around and deciding what to do next. The beings are task-oriented, and there is no indication whatsoever that we have been able to find of any aspect of their lives outside of performing the abduction procedures. This is their job. This is their agenda. We have a clear description of the aliens, a clear behavior and motivation of the aliens, and now a clear understanding of their agenda. There is only one conclusion to agree on. We are the reason they are here. What do they want? They want us.
Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,